We back, another episode of Bridge Podcast. We not wasting no time. We got work to do. We got Eddie Scipio back in the building. What's good, Eddie?
What's good? How you doing today?
I am great. Beautiful Friday. We got some crazy weather.
I know.
But I guess we got to be thankful for it all. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so I ain't gonna complain.
Yeah, at least it ain't snow or some humidity.
Facts. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, once I lived in snow,
Yeah.
I'm okay with rain.
Yeah.
But shout out to everybody. We not gonna get into the freeways. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all can watch the episodes, man. But if you on your morning commute, thank you for listening, tapping in. You know, love to do it, enjoy it. We just gonna keep doing what we do. Hopefully y'all enjoy the episodes. But shout out to No Face Half-Breed on the production. Definitely want to shout that out. And once again, we have Elise in the building. Number one fan of the pod is Elise. Well, let me take that back. Mrs. Davis is number one fan, so she's 1.5. Elise, how you doing today?
Good.
She's good. It's all good. We're going to have fun. And then we're going to go work out afterwards?
She might be out there running hills today.
That's all good. Welcome back. And you know what? I'm just a little off script because you're a track guy, I'm a track guy, man.
Yes.
So we just going to touch on this little current event right now. So I don't know did you see the situation with the girl that hit the other girl with the baton?
That was messed up.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
But like my whole thing was like she on TV crying like somebody did something wrong to her.
Nothing at all. I didn't see. People been telling me, I saw her hit her,
Man.
but then people sent me stuff of that. She's trying to play the victim. There's no
Yeah.
victim in that part.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like she literally running, the girl go past her, and she just clearly hits her in the head with the baton, and she trying to make this statement of y'all only saw one angle. Like I only
think you needed to see one angle.
Like come on, like you know, like I'm not saying you hated the girl.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that y'all had beef, but it's like clearly you did not want to lose their race.
Right. I think she was talking too, like on the last turn. I guess there was some bumping, but still,
Yeah.
I don't think there was any bumping to that extent for her to go off and hit her like that.
Well, I could say if it was a, like 1600, like, longer event,
Yeah.
there's always a little pushing and jockeying for position, but it's just part of the race.
The race, right?
It's like hockey, right? Like fighting's a part of the sport.
Yeah.
When it happens, nobody trips. But it's like in track, I mean, ultimately, when you're running a relay, you have to stay in your lane anyway. You're going to get disqualified. So it's like,
Right.
I don't even want to accept that excuse from her.
Yeah.
That's like,
Well, I think that might have been the 4x4. So once, and the first leg has to stay in your lanes, and then once you get from the first leg to the second,
true. That's
then
right.
you could
That's right.
move over. But like I said, it looked like she was trying to say it happened on the last curve.
Right.
But if it happened then, why hit her
Right.
down the back stretch?
I just can't justify it. It was crazy.
There's no justification.
Yeah, like that's my one current event for this week. But I was watching it a little while ago, and then like something popped up about it earlier. And I'm like, man, this is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like in the fact that you're trying to make it about like how people are attacking you is like, yeah, because we just watched you attack this young girl trying to run the race.
Yes.
So I mean, she had a concussion. She couldn't finish her day. Like,
now she's out probably for the next race.
Right.
And she was their anchor.
Yeah,
probably
see, that's
the fastest, so she's probably bringing in a couple of points.
Yeah, if you're running that leg, you know what it is, man. Like you're talented if you're on that last leg. So you got to be probably the best of the best to be doing that. But like I said, it was just crazy. It was just something I was like, man, I got to address this.
Responsibility.
That's all. Well, since the last week I was talking about coaches and athletes, how they help each other. We talked about accountability, and I'm like, damn, like this girl, like you want to say it's like a backhanded apology. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of not because I'm going through stuff. Where it's like, well, yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Like, so if you just take away that one action you did, none of this is even the conversation. But I would say that kind of goes into my point about parents in sports. Because as a parent, I'm not even letting you get on no camera.
No.
Except but to apologize. And the moment you snatch that mic off your neck if you're going to start talking stupid like that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, you just hit this girl.
Yep.
Like, you have nothing to talk about. Yes, I don't want my child to go through what social media will put you through because people will go over the top with it. It's like, there's always backlash, right? But social media backlash is different than any other thing we've seen because people just come for you, right? And they keep coming. So, I don't I don't like that she has to go through that much, but it's like at the same time, yes, this is, you have to wear some of this because it is your fault. So, yeah. But anyways, man, we back. Like I said, another episode, and this week was different, man. I was me and my wife are actually having this conversation, and we always talk about work, but it's like it always seems like working relationships are always like super hard, and like we're trying to pinpoint like why, right? Because it's a layered thing. I think people always try to separate personal, professional, and it seems like they overlap a lot.
Yes.
Because I think for me, I'm not necessarily somebody different outside of work as I am just living my life, right? I think the best versions of me at work are me kind of connecting who I am with the work I have to do. It makes me be at my best, right? So I always say, if you allow me to be me in this space without stepping outside the rules or parameters, like I'll be very successful at the job.
Right.
But it just seems like in a lot of jobs, in every job I've been, especially military, was probably where I learned the most lessons. Where it just seems like it's very rare you find good working relationships with people, right? And just like, I don't necessarily understand why, but I felt like, man, this is something worth exploring because it's a failure. So for me, I always say, the one thing that pissed me off about jobs where I've had the most issues is they try to sell you on family.
Right.
And my perception of family is a lot different than I think what they're thinking, because like when you're family to me, it's a level of respect, love, care for you I'm going to have for you, regardless of like the disagreements, the things that happen. But it's like, I tell people, like, if this is how y'all treat y'all family, hey, this ain't that, bro.
Parts. I think a lot of feelings get involved in it. And then it's hard to separate when you get out of that workspace.
Right.
Because, like 8 hours a day or whatever, like, it goes back to coaching. Like, we spend a lot of time with these people at work.
Yeah.
Right? And then when we get out of work, it's like now we got to turn that switch off and go be a family man, or if you don't have a family, to turn that switch off and be with your friends or whatever it is. But you're putting a lot of time into those people.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what it all comes down to. It's like, man, like spending hours and hours and hours with this person.
Right.
It's hard for me to turn that switch off when I punch out of here.
Yeah, I can't disconnect it.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm not great at that. I'll be honest about that. Because it's like I treat everybody best I can. Like I don't go and treat nobody bad.
Yeah.
It's like it takes things to kind of go away before I start to, okay, I just need to maybe deal with you in this space and kind of keep it at a certain level. And I think it does make situations difficult at work, because if you got a good relationship with somebody and then something happens and it falls apart, it's like, it's hard to look at it the same. Now the professionalism says, regardless how I feel about you, I care about my job.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do what I have to do. But it seems like then there's just always this level of discomfort for a lot of different reasons.
Well, a lot of times too, like me and you could be cool at work and not be cool outside. So a lot of people act different in front of different people.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And I think that plays a big part too. It's like,
it's a huge part.
Yeah, like you don't act this way outside of work. Like you acting like this in front of these people right now. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like I know you know you.
Yeah.
I mean, some people get in front of different type of people and they want to start acting funny, like.
Right.
But I know, like you. Like I know who you are.
Yeah, I know you.
Yeah.
I know you know you.
I know you know you.
Right.
And what you're portraying when you're on the clock is not how you... Yeah. I get it.
No, like I said, I understand it to a degree. Because like I said, it's like the mic's off conversation might be different to a certain degree with the mic's on.
Yeah.
Right? It might be a little more blunt, might be a little more just real, just because we just talking. So I always say that, like, everybody has different conversations behind closed doors than they do in public.
Yeah.
That's just life, though, right? So I understand, like, there's a level of professionalism that you have, when you go into your job. But I always say that you are who you are, though, right? So to me, I always tell people, if your character's a scumbag, it's a good chance you're going to be that at the job.
Yep.
Now, if I understand who I'm dealing with, then I think I'm cool. And I think that's the problem for me a lot of times at work. It's like, you just be who you are.
Yeah.
Because I've been through enough at work where if I know I have to do my job, I'm going to do my job.
Yeah.
Like, I work with somebody who, she ain't like me, I ain't like her. And, like, the first year of it, it was like this kind of unspoken thing. It was kind of like you had to be our supervisor, or somebody like in charge of us that kind of knew what was going on, because they were kind of they were seeing emails, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, I don't even know why we got to beef, to be honest with you. They just don't like me, but at the same time, if that's the energy you're putting out there, yeah, I don't really mess with you either.
Yeah.
But me and that person were able to work together. So when it came to us doing a job, we did the job. And I just kept quiet, but then it got to a point where it's like, you're talking about me so much professionally, when we haven't had a professional problem. Like, we really shouldn't have any problem, because I don't even know what I did to you. You never even spoke to me about the problem.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, this is where we're at. And I'm just taking a stance of, nah, they don't rock with me, I don't rock with them, I work with them.
Yeah.
Because people are starting to ask me about this person, and I'm like, nah, I don't got no beef with them, but for whatever reason, they don't rock with me, so I keep them at bay. But if we got to work together, the supervisor says, hey, y'all got to do this, we're going to do it.
Right.
Because I care about my work, and so does the person. And so I always left it at that, but it was funny how the moment I spoke on it, all of a sudden it was different, because their perception changed. See, when I was looking like the bad guy, or you were putting that energy out like I was this bad person or doing these things, there was no other side of the story.
Right.
But even though I didn't really get into the details, I just said, hey, they don't mess with me, I don't mess with them. It made people go, well, why don't you mess with him? Because ain't nobody else have no problems with this person.
Yeah. So
what is it with you? And you can't really pinpoint that. And so I'm like, it just made this uncomfortable situation. But we all have our people, right? So it's like, you my dog, you telling me something about somebody at work, I might still work with them the same, but I'm still looking at them a little differently off of the strength of, like, this my man's though. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to let it compromise what we need to do, but it's like I am taking into consideration the information told me.
Right.
And so I think, like, that's always makes things challenging in that space, where it's like, why does it have to be that?
I kind of work with a person like that too.
Yeah.
I'm just like always setting people off, and I'm putting out the fires, and I'm starting to think, like, she doing this on purpose,
right?
Or what? So I started, like I said, I go to work no matter what.
Right.
The same energy every day. I got to take care of these kids and make sure these kids are right.
Right.
I mean, I got to make sure everyone's protected in this classroom. But then, as the day goes on, you start setting these fires off, and you're always looking at me to put them out.
Right.
My demeanor and everything starts changing.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I'm like, hold on, like,
right.
We gotta fix this.
Yeah, and I think it's you putting people in bad situations.
Yeah.
Right, which makes it hard to maintain healthy relationships. Like, why you keep setting me up?
Yeah, bad situations where some people can get hurt.
Right.
I mean, I know, me personally, I'm not. Right. I know how to protect myself.
Right.
For the job, but there's some people that be in there that can't protect themselves.
Right.
And once somebody goes off.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
And I mean, you can only protect so many people.
Right. And I think that, like, especially speaking in the space of, like, being an IA as well, working in a severe handicapped classroom, where those kids are all amazing. It's just that their moments, though, can be catastrophic.
Yes.
They can destroy stuff. They can hurt things. They can hurt themselves. They can hurt people when they get into that space. And it's like, you typically have to weather the storm. And I always felt, I guess I'm old school in the sense of I'm a man working with a lot of women. Yeah. I feel a responsibility to make sure these women are okay.
Yep.
Just as a man. Just old school, that's just how I was raised. Like, it's like if a dude was picking on a girl in front of me, I'm like, I'm going to get at him. Like, hey man, what are you doing? And so I always kind of I would have put myself in harm's way to protect the people that I was working with. And I felt like I have the most composure to deal with these things without kind of making it bigger than it has to be. I can de-escalate it faster probably than most.
Yeah.
A couple of people were way more amazing than I was, but they were the upper. It's like, we got to call somebody to go get you to come over here to come, like, help fix this situation. But the person who I actually worked for, like, that ended up being a problem for me, because ultimately I started having blood pressure problems, and then I started talking to my wife about the person, and my blood pressure started jumping. Where it dawned on me, like, man, this person's a problem for me. But it was literally because, like you're saying, now you're putting me in harm's way. It's like you're kind of doing stuff and then leaving me to deal with the issue. So, that relationship started to deteriorate very, very quickly with that person. Like, man, I can't really rock with you. But I always say, I think where a lot of us screw up and this kind of goes back to us being men. We don't be saying nothing.
Yeah.
We just be taking it.
Just taking it.
Right? And we sitting there with that hostility, that animosity in our heart. And it's like, man, because we're not trying to disrupt it. Right? And so I always like take the mindset, I know I'm going to do it, so I try not to complain about it. But at the point where, if I got to go home and be talking about this,
something needs to be said.
I got to say something, you know what I mean? So, and I think we've all been there, but we just typically just take them stances, and then now it just kind of forces that relationship into a really bad spot. Where it's like, man, I don't even want to deal with you.
Yep.
You know, when I had somebody, when I was over there, I was one-on-one with a kid, and they would literally come in there and kind of like jab at the kid I'm working with, rile him up, and then leave. Right? And then, you know, it got to a point where I'm like, hey.
You're not going to come here anymore.
Stop doing that.
Stop doing that. Yeah.
Like, it's already a point where I kind of got to be isolated with this person. Don't be adding on to it, you know, or jabbing at them knowing you're going to make things worse for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just going to go close the door and then go back over there to your side of the space.
Yeah.
And so, like, we used to, we used to have barbecues every Friday. Kids had to earn it. Now, my kid wasn't great at earning. Wasn't great at earning barbecue. Yeah. But my whole thing was, in an effort to keep the peace, I never ate if he didn't eat.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, I don't want to be sitting here in front of this kid doing this.
It's just going to tick them off.
Absolutely. And like they teenagers still, right? Like and honestly, they're younger than their age mentally. And so I remember this one day, teacher came over there with the hot dog. And, oh, you know, so good. And, you know, Mr. Elliott, would you mind having a? No, I'm good. Yeah. Got all in the kid's face, and next thing you know, that kid had jumped up, tried to get at him, you know, and then I had to de-escalate. But I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing? Yeah. And so it was that particular situation didn't change until it just kind of went bad when I wasn't around. And then, you know, some things were said in a meeting where, like I said, it's causing more tension. Until I finally got to the point where I'm like, look, y'all giving people a lot of credit. I don't even want the credit, but stop giving it to people who are not doing nothing. Yeah. You know, but it was built off of like, you're trying to elevate these other people and give them some love and credit, and they're kind of in the honeymoon stage. Yeah. So like, you just got here. It's all good when you first get there. All the kids love you at first because they filling you out. Yeah. And, you know, but it's like once they get comfortable, the habits are them habits. You know. And so I feel like it's the same thing with like people at work. You know, we always start with these good spaces because we don't know you yet. Yep. You don't know me yet, and then as time goes by, it's like you start figuring people out, and to me, it's like it's not even that I will dislike you. I just know how to deal with you, and I'm cool with that. Like if you consistently show me this who you are, I'll figure out how to maneuver around you. Yeah, keep pushing. So you know, like that's my thing. But I think the other point I was getting to kind of build off your point was, I always feel like a lot of the problems be with the leaders and the people who work for them. Yeah. Because it's like, I've been in situations where I'm not supposed to do something, right? Like, it's not my responsibility. And maybe I don't do it because I have other things to tend to. So I tell you I can't do this. Now, the reality is, as a leader, you know, it's not my thing. Right. But you're pissed because I told you no. And so your ego done got in the way now. It's like, well, I'm the boss. So, like, right is right, though. Yeah. Now, you know, maybe if you approach me differently, maybe it goes differently. But I think that, like, leadership sucks in most places, especially in the military. It was terrible. And I think that's where the relationships ultimately go bad, because it's like once one person starts talking about the leadership being bad, it just kind of, it snowballs.
Right. That kind of like happened with me with the job that I'm at now. Really good friends with the leadership. And I had to like switch over my van, and he put me in another van. But my job is not to, I'm not cleaning out that other van. The other van was dirty. Like, listen, I'm not cleaning out this van. Like, I'll keep my van until this van is cleaned out. Yeah, for sure. So then I ended up having to call the upper boss, and he was like, yeah, you don't have to clean out the van. So then they ended up trying to, then my supervisor tried to end up sending me home. Right. And I'm cool with this dude. Like, right. I didn't come here to go home, bro. Right. I came here to work. Like, I'll keep my van. Like, my brakes are not that bad. Like, I could keep my van for another day. Now I already sent you home. Like, take the van. So you try to put me in that van. Like, take the van. You don't got to clean up the van. I'm not driving that van. There's no windshield wipers. On the thing, the windows are dirty. I'm not driving that van.
Right.
So then I end up having to like talk to HR because I'm like, first of all, you're taking sick time away from me, my sick hours.
Right.
I didn't ask to go home.
Right.
You just pulled me out. So things got. Then I had to have a meeting with him and his boss, and I'm like, yo, like, this could have been avoided. Then his boss is like, well, I was headed to a meeting. I was like, well, you told me I didn't have to clean out the van. Now you're saying you're backtracking, like,
right.
Listen, bro, like, nah, I don't. You have anything to say? I don't have nothing to say.
Right.
But I'm not cleaning out that van, and I know I'm not wrong.
Right.
You told me.
Yeah, you told me I was good already.
I was good already.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to backtrack, so.
Right, it's crazy.
End up having to switch supervisors and stuff. I'm like, yo, this it could have all been avoided. Like,
right.
Well, next time we'll get the van ready. Next time the van was cleaned out and ready.
Right. Which it should have been.
It should have been in the first place, or you could have put me in a different van. So
right.
I'm like, so that ended up like we were good at work and outside of work. I don't even speak to dude no more. Like, listen, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean?
And like, to me, it's crazy that, like that. To me, those things make me question: was we really cool ever?
Yeah.
It's like if you could just cold turkey me off of a situation that really ain't that deep.
Yeah.
Because like what you're telling me is like I understand exactly why you didn't do what they were trying to get you to do. Because it's like it's not my responsibility to do that.
Right. But I think too.
But it's like as the leader,
yeah.
I think you're taking it the wrong way.
Right.
You're looking at it as I'm asking you to do something, you're not doing it.
Yep.
But fine. But like just have that conversation. Because like you said, I always. Like, no, my wife will talk about stuff like that too. We'll talk about like people going to HR just to me, I always say when you go to HR, I feel like you're trying to set me up to get fired.
Yeah.
That's just my gut. I'm not saying that's right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like there's things that could be worked out at a base level. But it's like to me, when you go to HR, I feel like you're trying to start a process of a paper trail to try to prove something to somebody about my work or my job.
Yeah.
Now, if my work's good, I'm not whatever. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, when it's things that. There are things to go to HR for. Like you said, if you're trying to take sick hours from me, I'm not sick. I'm able to work. Right? I'm able to do my job. Then there's no reason for me to go home. Outside of the fact that you're just upset because I didn't do what you wanted me to do.
Right.
But your boss said I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. So it's like if your boss said that, then why are you even tripping?
Yeah.
And I'm a chain of command guy. That's one thing I got in the military. It's like. So if I go to my direct supervisor and we can't figure it out, the next step is the next person above you. Right. That's the way to actually do it. Mm-hmm. So when we go to your boss, we say we tried to have the conversation and we couldn't figure it out. We need somebody else to come in and kind of help us maneuver this. Yeah. Which is the right way to go, but like not to an HR point. Yeah. Like it's not that deep. You know, it never should have got that deep. It's just like that's to me. I always say that's the ego thing. And I feel like a lot of work relationships suck because leaders have too much ego. Right. And so I always say, like, I'm a servant leader, so I always feel like I lead by serving my people. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you're on a job and you're like, man, I don't have a truck, my job is to make sure you get a truck as your leader. Right. Well, let me get you right. And then where I got to call to the yard or wherever the cars are at. Hey, Eddie needs a vehicle. He has work to do. Yeah. Let's get him out there. And if it doesn't work out, I'm still not mad at you. Yeah. You know, I'm like, why wasn't this taken care of? Whatever, you know. Now I'm talking to your boss. Why didn't he have a clean truck? Who was in that truck before? Because that's really the person who I want to talk to. Yeah. Whoever they clean that truck out need to come see me ASAP.
Yeah, I feel like people were just putting stuff in there like it was like a drunk van. Like everyone's just throwing their junk in there. Right. But I also feel like he knows, like, if he would have asked somebody else, they probably would have said yes because everyone's just yes sir dude. But like I know like every time someone gets a van, the van's ready for them to go. Get in and go. Yeah. Just transfer their stuff over. So I think that was the main point too, is like he could talk that way to certain people, but like I know the right and wrong, like you just not gonna just talk to me any old way or tell me to do something where I know I don't have to do it.
And I think that's the thing that you're talking about that I always try to talk about with people is like the respecting. Yeah. It's not like we're adults first, right? Like we're all adults first. So my whole thing is I'm gonna treat you as an adult, as a person before anything else. It's not about my title. It's not about any of that. It's literally about me respecting you as a grown man or a grown woman. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to give you that first. So I'm going to talk to you in a way regardless. Even if I'm pissed at you, I'm still going to give you that respect as an adult. Right? You deserve that. And like, nobody really deserves disrespect in the workspace outside of those who are being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And even at that point, you just get clipped. You know what I mean? Like, if you disrespectful, typically you don't end up staying in that place.
Right.
Or we go through the process to know, okay, if you can't handle this, cool. But I think, like I said, I think work relationships are bad because it's bad leadership. It's like it's too much. Stuff's not organized at the top. And I think it's because typically we're all fending for ourselves. And if we are, okay, like I understand that people go, you don't pay my bills. I'm not trying to. But nor am I trying to prevent you from paying your bills. Yeah. I'm just saying you don't got to screw me to do it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got to screw me. You don't got to treat me away. What I think a lot of times, that's what happens is that people typically get screwed over because of that. It's like, nah, man, people are selfish. So they're not even looking at doing right. They're looking at doing what's right for them. And then you're compromising relationships. You're compromising stuff at work where it doesn't have to be that way. Or the thing that I think happens to most of us is we walked into work with some stuff on our chest.
Yeah.
And now we bringing that to other people. Now, like I said, it's not realistic to think that you can go through something and just not just kind of cut off the world from that. Like, even as strong as most men are, we can't forget what's happening in real time. Right? So it's like if you went through loss, right? I went through loss too, where I can't sit there and go, man, I forget about my brother passing away. I'm gonna go to work. It's like, nah, it's heavy on my heart.
Yeah.
Now I'm smart enough to control interactions better. Like I'll try to minimize what I have to do. So like when my brother passed, I'm like, man, I want to come to work, and I was cutting hair full time. I'm like, but I just want to work.
Yeah.
And if I can't just work, then I'll leave. And that was the rule. That's what I told him. Like, I told the owner, the homie, like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And I remember I was cutting. Everything was cool. I'm like, man, let's just try to be as normal as possible under the circumstances. They're like, cool. And so I'm working, but then maybe about midway through the day, people start popping up. I'm like, man, what the hell going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, my damn phone going all crazy today. But yeah, people are going crazy. And now everybody started to come in and give their condolences, and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm about to leave."
That's tough.
I gotta go, And he's like, "Why you gotta go?" I'm like, "Because it's a distraction.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get bothered. Like I appreciate the love, but I'm trying to work to give myself some space and a moment to just kind of live, and I can't
just
have
trying
that.
to be busy, but you're not trying to.
Right.
I get the condolences. I love that, but it's like, man, like.
I need time.
Yeah,
and like I can't, if I sit in my house all day, I'm just feel terrible.
Yeah.
So I get people going to work, and it's like, but if you can't separate, you can't give people that space and respect still with your struggle, like get the hell on. Yeah. Get the hell on. But it's like we typically want to treat people like crap and then throw our situations back at them, and then it's supposed to make it okay. It's like it's an explanation for what's going on, but doesn't never make it okay for you to treat me bad.
Right.
And I think relationships are typically crappy. It's like you said, it's like coaching, man. Like when you take care of those kids, it's all good. It's all good when you take care of those kids. But it's like the moment people don't feel like you take care of them or you appreciate them, the shit just goes bad. And it keeps going bad. And so I think like worker relationships are awful because like we just suck at taking care of people. I think we're just too selfish.
Like you said, coaching, like if you know your team loves you, or you feel that and you love your team, you could get so much more out of them.
Right.
I mean, it's just all about your relationships with them.
Yeah.
I mean, so. No,
the relationships are everything.
Especially in sports.
Right. It's 100% like that is the job. Like that's your German career. That is the job though, right? It's like just taking care of the people that are around you, and then people are okay.
Yeah.
But it's like the moment you stop doing that is the moment everything starts to fall apart. Like I know I'm not your priority as far as like personal.
Yeah.
Right. I get that. I don't have to be, nor do I want to be. But it's just like when we're in this space, at least show consideration and value for what I have to do. If I'm messing up, cool. I think a lot of people have problems being held accountable, Because I think, just like I said, if you're somebody like that as a person, then it's gonna be bad. I think that if that's just who you are, if you just like accountability, it doesn't change because you're at work. You're gonna go do the same stuff, and it's gonna be the same issues, you know. And so I think ultimately that be the problem a lot of times. Like, nah, your character is this, and you don't want to adjust, and now you're bringing that BS into the work. Like I had that problem where I'm talking to somebody, and we're just having a normal conversation, right? And in my knowledge, everything's cool.
Yeah.
Everything's cool, but it gets to the point where a day later is you attack me, right? I'm like, what? You know, like, what you mean? Like, you know, there wasn't any point in this conversation where I was like, my tone changed or I was being rude or disrespectful. It was like we're just having a dialogue well, at least I thought, right? And ultimately, my responsibility was maybe that it just probably wasn't a conversation I should have been having at that time with that person. Just shouldn't have. That's where I messed it up at. Just shouldn't even went there. You just said something to me, it sparked something in me, I asked a question and turned to a conversation. Yeah. But like nobody in the space was like, said I was disrespectful. But it's like, oh, when somebody's speaking on things that's going on with you, that's just how you feel. Yeah. You just take the attack approach. Oh, you're attacking me. Okay. Yeah. You know, but I offered up an apology. They didn't want the apology. But then commenced to talking shit about me. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just cool on you, man. Because there was an opportunity for you to say whatever you needed to say to me, and I was cool with it. And I was willing to apologize for making you feel the way I did. I didn't feel like I crossed the line, but at the same time, if that's how it came across to you, I want to make it right.
And they could have came to you and talked to you about it.
Nah, they
wanted to go behind you
right.
and start
talking. You start talking crazy, and then it turns the situation into something else. Yeah. And so now we have a bigger problem that we shouldn't have to have.
Not knowing that the person you're talking to, I'm very cool with, or even that.
Yeah. Like, you're talking to my wife. Yeah. So, which is already another layer to that, you know. And so it's like it just didn't have to be that, but it just said this: if this is who you are as a person, then that does make it hard to work with you. Yeah. Because now, what if I'm trying to tell you how to do your job, and you just take it as I'm attacking you? Then where's the common ground at? Where's it? No, I'm not angry with you. I'm just saying this is the work. Yeah. Right. But most people can't get to that point. You know, it's just always like, oh, they were trying to tell me, and like, no, you can't. And so, like, yeah, the leaders be wrong with a lot of stuff, but it's like people aren't good at accepting responsibility for their stuff either.
Yeah, I got to do that work. He's kind of like, we got like these standards, productivity, repeats, and stuff like that. So I was talking to him the other day about his productivity. Mm-hmm. He was like, well, I talked to him because my repeats. I said, you're switching over to repeats. We're talking about your productivity. That's what's wrong with you. You just don't want to listen. Just listen, bro. Like, all you got to do is just listen. Like, I'm not talking about your repeat. I'm talking about your productivity. Just listen for a second. Like, you don't want to listen. You want an excuse for everything. Right. I'm trying to help you, man. I'm not trying to go against you. Like, I'm trying to help you. Just listen, bro. Right. Like, you can get your productivity at. What was your productivity? Oh, it was in the 90s. My productivity's never down in the 90s. It's always in the 100. Right. If you just listen, you can do the same thing. I know, but every time like I do this, do that, like my repeats. I said, you can't control your repeats. You get into a house, you can do everything right, everything is clean. A person call back and say they can't turn TV on, and I go back in after you. That's a repeat. Right. You can't control someone that can't control your repeats. That call back in. Right. They're gonna call back in regardless. Man. Yeah. Like
absolutely.
But you could definitely control your productivity.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help you with your productivity. Just listen. All you gotta do is listen, man. Yeah, you're right. I know I'm right. I'm trying to help you, man. Like we talk all day, and I'm trying to help you. You just every time I tell you something, you got you got an answer for everything. Right. Instead of just listening and taking it in.
And that's tough. Yeah. That's tough. And I'm guilty of that at a point. Yeah. Where like, nah, you don't got all the answers. Right. You might have an answer, but it don't make you right all the time. Mm-hmm. Right. I think we definitely, I've seen that a lot, and so that's something I can recognize in people. Because I'm like, I used to be that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like being a teenager, right? Your dad telling you something. I know, Dad. No, you don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here
telling
you if you knew. You know, I wouldn't be. I'd just be saying, "Good job, carry on, son."
Yeah.
Carry, you know. And I think that, like I said, it's that's why I said this topic's always intriguing to me because it's just layered. There's so much to it. It's like I don't think there's one side that's more responsible, whether it's the employees, the supervisor. I think everybody plays a role in it, but I think it's what we look for in work that where it breaks down at. And I think for me, it was more about me just saying, I just work with y'all.
Yeah.
You know, like I just work with y'all. So in this space of work, I'm literally just pride myself now on staying in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I don't want to jump outside my spot. I'm gonna stay where I'm supposed to be at because ain't no accidents when I'm trying to jump in somebody else's lane.
Right.
Usually the accidents come when I'm trying to cross over into somebody else's lane or you got me working with somebody else. Those were things happen, but it's like far as the work, I'm gonna just keep my head down and do the work, and that's kind of gonna be it. Where it's like teaching. My dad was like, man, you know the funny thing about teaching, he goes, everybody has an opinion on how to do somebody else's job but their own.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens in teaching. Doesn't matter what school you're at. Like this is the game. I'm like, man, this is crazy, you know. And then when I started seeing it, I'm like, damn, like he right. Because everybody here is saying what you doing wrong or what they think you're doing wrong. But then the moment you say, hey, you can do this, it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And it's like you're not. I think a lot of times in work we don't accept what people are great at, and like embrace like they're just weak in certain areas where we can help them grow at. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm like, you know, I work with a lot of great teachers for a lot of different reasons. Their greatness wasn't connected to mine in a sense of like we shared the same skill set.
Right.
Like you're great at teaching because you teach to what makes you great. You're not trying to be something you're not, and so you're doing well. But it's like you try to get outside your wheelhouse, you're causing problems, or you're looking at somebody who doesn't teach like you, and now you're trying to tell them they're wrong because they don't teach like you, and it's like, nah, man, that ain't it.
Right.
Like that don't make no sense, right? But it's like to get people to make sense of that is just hard.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I kind of went into that type of lane too in my work, and just put my head down and doing my thing.
Right.
And trying to stay out of other people's business.
Yeah, it's safer, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's just safer. It's not that that's how I really want to be.
Yeah.
But it's just like, nah, to protect myself from the BS, I'm just going to I'm not going to treat nobody bad. Like, I think that's just not something I'm willing to do. Even if I don't like you, I'd rather just not deal with you than do that. But it's like, man, you just get caught up in, it's just, like I said, I think to me, there is no personal, professional, like, aspect most times. I think it's just all the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people can separate it because it's like too much of who you are is involved in what you do.
Yep.
So it's hard to have personal issues and go, okay, I cut that off. Or it's hard, like, it's like me and you beefing for 8 hours. It ain't like, hey, man, let's go have a beer when it's over.
Yeah.
Like, we just was at each other's neck for the last 8 hours. Like, I'm not really for that. Even if I'm still cool with you outside of work, I still need a break. You know, like I still need to get up from around you. You probably need to get up from around me. So it's like I just don't, like in theory it sounds good. Like it sounds great. I've said that before. Like it sounds great to be like, yeah, man, we good. But when the work's over, like we gonna do, I gotta really love you like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like to leave it at work is a whole different type energy. You know, so it's like but it's like I tell people a lot of times what helped me not be at odds with people was I would tell them, hey, we ain't texting. We ain't having dinner together. We ain't hanging out.
Yeah. We
just simply work together. That's the only thing we have to do good. Because if you value your paycheck, I value mine, and actually like what I'm doing, like I'm not going to let some stupid stuff mess that up for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully you do the same, right? I'm not going to, I'd have to tear you down to do it, you know? But like I said, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about like what he was saying was coming from such a humble place because he's just talking about like the basketball team. Like there should never be issues like that when like it's a blessing to be a part of something so great.
Yeah.
And I said, well, typically if you've been a part of things that hadn't been that great, you can embrace and accept like, man, this is a blessing.
Yeah.
I'm like, but if you kind of felt like you've been in this space forever, you start to take stuff for granted, you know, sometimes. And I'm like, and that's not what happens in our space, but I'm like, I've seen that happen. Where like people just like, it's not that big a deal. It's like, nah, man, every time it's like we won 32 games this year. Like every win was a big deal.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who it was against. It didn't matter the score. It was like, man, we won.
Yeah.
Because we know the energy we would have got if we lost.
Oh yeah.
It would have been bad.
Yep.
You know, so it's like you try to embrace those things and just really appreciate and enjoy it. And so it's like I'm not willing to let things take away from like good things that are happening, even if we don't personally get along. I'm gonna still be humble enough to be like, man, this is a good thing going on here. We did something good.
Right.
It doesn't matter that I don't care for you. I'm still acknowledge like no. And so it's like not being a hater.
Yeah.
Right. Not being a hater. So it's like, nah, I don't like Eddie. Like, hey, but hey, he can play. He's nice. He nice. Now I don't mess with him like that, but he cold. You know, it's like it shouldn't take nothing to be that. But I feel like we get so wrapped up. It's like the GOAT debate, right? It's like saying Jordan is the best doesn't say that LeBron or Kobe or anybody else suck.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, nah, man, I can acknowledge people's greatness in the workplace, even if I don't like them, because if it's real, it's real.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't mess with, I thought you don't like him. I don't. But
he's good.
He's good.
Yeah.
She's good. Like, I'm not going to deny. I said that about a teacher. I'm like, I don't like her, but she's dope at her job.
Yeah.
Like, make no mistake about it. She's good at what she does.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't vibe like that. But, like, she's good, you know, and so I think that can help problems a lot in the workplace. It's like, now I'm going to take this stance that I don't mess with you, but I'm also going to be very fair about what you do. I mean, necessarily, I don't have to speak on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, if I'm asked about it, I'm not going to just say some hater.
I know a lot of people were like, oh, because they know I support you guys at St. Joe's. What happened to St. Joe's? You know what type of team that they display?
Yeah. It's
you know how many wins they have this year?
It's crazy.
Well, they got all these players. I get it, but that team that's a good team down there. They play week in and week out good basketball as well.
Yeah, they're ready.
They're ready, yeah.
They're ready.
Like,
yeah, we just lost.
Yeah.
We just lost. Like,
I'm like, man, like,
right.
Can you acknowledge, like you said, they got 32 wins. Like,
right.
They're a good team. They play good basketball. They play good defense. Do you even watch them play?
Right.
People like, nah, okay. So then what are you talking about? What about what happened to St. Joe's?
Go
and watch them play one time, and you will really appreciate good basketball.
But I don't think people watch enough basketball.
They don't anymore.
And I think that's typically the thing now. It's like, you know, like I said, our area is just not what it was once.
Yeah.
Like, I remember early on, when I was at Lompoc, I remember early on at St. Joe's where, man, you walked into any of these gyms, and it was tough. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
You know, like, we built up to this point, but make no mistake, we wasn't just sitting on top of things. Like, we had to claw back to the top. Our first year, we was like 16 and 10. You know, and then just we had guys like Steven Vasquez, we had Angel Ortiz, like young guys that just we knew they were going to be good, and then from their sophomore year on, it kind of just started going the way it's going now. But you know, I think we quickly forget how things were. You know,
but I don't think a lot of people understand like the coaching. They just think that these guys have good players that you don't have to coach, but it's like you have to instill like the tradition, what do you want? No players bigger than the program.
Yeah, the work,
the work ethic that you have to put in.
Right.
Like people don't understand it. Well, they got Tunde, they got Gillis, but these guys groom Tunde. Like he wants to do other things.
Yeah.
Right. But I know he's not allowed to do other things. Like I think these probably guys allowed him to wear the sneakers he wanted to wear on senior night. Right.
Now it was definitely. It's funny too because like we have a way of like. Coach Mike has a way of like everybody looks the same. So I was like, I don't want to say it's like military because it's not, but I'm saying in the sense of like, you know, hey, we all got the same thing on. Yeah. So, you know, the team shoes is always that. But, you know, it's funny because I'm the person who I don't like team shoes necessarily. Yeah. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but it's like
everyone has different feet.
Yes, and like I don't like to. I'm not a person who likes to be in a box. I'm not a person who doesn't, like, if I feel like I can't have any freedom in your space, I don't like the space. So, like, the shoes is a little space where I can kind of just do me a little bit. Show a little bit of my personality, my you know, yes, we are in a team, but it's like my individual skill sets are things that can help a group. And so, like, me being able to be myself, I will never take away from the group.
Yeah.
But, like, it's, so I understood where Tunde was coming from. But I also was trying to explain to, like, other kids of, everybody's not in a great situation, right? Not everybody has the money to go get their own stuff.
Yeah.
Some kids, the only shoes they have are the team shoes.
Team shoes,
right? You know, so it's if we don't do team shoes, what happens to those kids who can't afford shoes? Right? So we to their credit, they fundraise their butts off to be able to help everybody be in a position to have what they needed. And so, there was a balance, right? It was like we'll give a little bit here, and he was good about it. So he had opportunities for some of his bigger nights where he was able to kind of have some room to do his thing, but it was like an earned thing. Like, what are you going to do for the group so that you can have that freedom to do something that you want to do, and nobody wanted it. And so it was, for me, it was about, hey man, don't even bring it to us until y'all on the same page. And so it was like, no, y'all need to go have a team meeting. Because if you come in here with some halfway information, and get out of here with that. We just going to do what we always do. And so, like I said, Coach Mott made room for him. And that's, like I said, that's not his style.
Right.
But he was like, you know what? What's best for the people that I'm dealing with? And I think that's what made him special as a leader. And like the group special is because we take into consideration everybody now. Right? It's like from the first guy to the last guy, it's like not everybody need to feel good about what's going on here. Right? And so, it's that dialogue. Hey man, what's going on? It's that kid who don't play no minutes says, hey man, how's everything going? Man, you all right, man? How's home? How's school? How the grades? Everything? And nothing to do with basketball. Right? Like how's mom, pops? Those are the things that are important that make relationships good. It's like, oh, you're invested in more than just this one thing right now. You're really caught up in everything that I got going on. It's more than just basketball. It's like we preach that, but we also embody it by the way we go about our stuff. You do the same thing, like you said. You at the school, checking on grades, checking on kids. Now, man, you need to be handling your business even when you're not with me. And so it's like that's the commitment that it takes. Whereas, like I said, when we're in the workspace, you don't see that. It's everybody wants to be a bottom line person, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm kind of a bottom line person myself. I'm about the work. Like, tell me what I got to do, and then I get it done. But I don't ask for people to check on me as far as like personal. But I'm appreciative, and thankful when it does make me feel better when people are asking how I'm doing. Or, man, you seem like something's wrong. Is everything okay? Even if I don't talk about it, at least I know like they're paying attention to what's going on with me. And it's like I want to work for people like that. I want to work with people like that. It's like I just don't want to work with people. I guess that's the thing, right? I just don't want to work with people I don't enjoy working with.
I think that's like too, like when I became the head coach this year for the 8th grade team, I picked my coach staff, and a couple of people asked me to coach on the team. I'm like, I don't work. I'm just I don't want to work with them.
Right.
People ask you, like, I had a good coaching staff, which was able to give me the freedom to do what I do, and I never questioned anything. Like, I might say something to a defensive coordinator, but at the end of the day, like, his decision was his decision. If he wanted to blitz, go ahead and blitz. I got my back, and I'll ask him, like, mind if I kick an onside kick first play? Because he's a defensive coordinator. We get it. I'm in a bad situation. Go ahead, we'll take care of it. But we click, man. Like, the people around you, especially in the coaching space, like, they got to be people that you can trust.
Yes.
And we were good. We had a good coaching staff. And I always told myself too, if I'm not up for other people's suggestions on my coaching staff, and I can't take their input and use it, then like I'm done coaching. If I feel like I know everything. If I feel like I know everything, like I'm done. Because then I might as well just be doing this by myself.
And you're not getting no better. Like you can't improve like that. Like I always, like that's when me and James would talk about that all the time. It's like, man, he's like, well, it's like if Eddie's sitting with you, he's gonna push back at some point. He's gonna disagree. It's like if you know him, you'll understand. Like it's not like a personal thing. It's like he really feel like this might be the best thing to do right now. He gonna fight for that. Like he'll roll with whatever. But he gonna fight for that. But at the same time, like the dude has compassion. So like if he felt like he went too far, he could be like, "Hey, my bad, man," And so it's like that. That's what keeps things healthy. Is that where I said that when I coach on travel ball, it's like, man, we'd be sometimes on that bench where it's like, "Yo, is it good over there?" And it is. But we just like, nah. We really talk about what need to happen. It's the heat of the moment. And it's like we're all looking at what's best for these boys that we're coaching. So it is intense because it's a priority for us to make sure we get it right for them. So it is a lot of intensity behind it. But it never rolled over to like the game was over and nobody was sitting around saying, hey bro, you all right?
Yeah.
Like, nah, we good. Or like I think that when we were new to each other, like two of the other coaches was going at, he was like, man, I don't want you to think that. He was like, man, I ain't tripping off. Like, we just trying to, we trying to get it right. Like, you explain to me what you think, I'm explaining to you what I think. But it was like, you're the head coach though. So what you choose is what you choose. Like, we riding. When we got ready for a PGM championship, and it's like, anytime you know how this we get ready championship game, that whole day is just different. The energy is different because your mind's on the task. And I remember just going up to him like, hey man, like, hey, whatever you, hey, just be decisive. And whatever you roll with, I'm gonna roll with you. Like, don't trip. Whatever the decision is, I'm with you. I got you. All right. Like, I'll tell you what I think about things, but like, we know what we doing. You know. And he was like, bet. You know, we just kind of went. Just because I knew him well enough to know, and we had conversations about championship games. He had won some CIFs. I won some. And just like, you know, the most recent was losses for both of us. So it's like, well, you know, you take L's in championships, you can start to question a little bit, like what you're doing and how you're doing it, because you want to get it right. But I'm like, nah, you can't go into those situations not confident in what you're doing. It's like we ain't here by accident. We here because our boys are ready and we have prepared them to be ready. And I think like that's, like I said, that to me that is I think sports is such a reflection of what I would want work to look like. It's like, man, it's like, dog, will you just take care of people? It's amazing. And I think we don't. I think that's my thing with work. I think that's the ultimate problem with work relationships is that we just don't take care of people. Like, people don't feel appreciated. People don't feel valued. People don't feel like you're invested in anything they got going on. It's just all BS.
I think that's what's going on. I feel like a lot of people at my job probably feel that way. Or people ask me too, like, you like your work? I love what I do. Like, I can't complain. I feel like my company treats me well. They give me good benefits, 401k, they match up to whatever percent. I feel like I've worked for a good company, but some other people don't feel the same way. You know what I mean? But it's like, you can leave. And if you don't like what you do, you can leave.
Famous words.
Famous words. Bring their little attitude to work, and I'm like, yo, like, gotta start being positive, man. Like, you don't gotta be down all the time.
And I think that be the problem is, I've talked about this way before, but people are, like I said, you have a job because, well, thankfully you get to do something you like to do. Like, you love going to work. And it also provides for your family. Like, it checks all the boxes. But I feel like most people are doing something they don't love just because it checks all those other boxes. And I would like tell people the most important box to check is, do you love your work? Like, because the money will be there. I'm like, nah, granted, I get it. We get comfortable. We get to a point where it's like, I don't want to go back and try to build back up because all the things that I have to kind of scale back. I'm afraid of losing my lifestyle, basically. So I don't want to scale back. And so you just sit at work frustrated. Like, I know somebody who I'm close to, my family was like, man, I hate my job, but I'll never leave because they pay me too good. And like, I remember hearing that, and I'm early 20s, I'm like, hell no. Hell no. Like, I can't, you know, and I was in the military at that time, so I just remember hearing that, like, there's no way I'm doing 20 years in the military anyway. It's just not for me. Like, I had some experiences that I hated, but like, I had a lot of good things that happened for me and people around me, so I was just like, nah, this ain't it. Like, I knew, and like, even my big bro Corey, he like, at least the first person I met, the first time I met him, the first thing he told me was like, man, as soon as my contract goes, I'm out. He's like, usually you hear that and it don't, like, they'll extend. He's like, nah, this dude legit, like, did his years and got gone, dog. Like, he was not playing. I said, I just knew early. I said, and I had so much fun with those people. I still talk to those people, but in the military, and anybody who served will tell you, like, there isn't a whole lot of appreciation. It's so far few in between of leaders who actually care. It's like everybody wants to talk about the mission. It's like, the mission ain't gonna get done if these people ain't right. If they don't feel good about what they're doing, there's gonna be some mishaps, some problems that you can't account for. That's gonna mess up the mission. So it's like, why don't you just start off by making sure they understand, man, we got y'all. We go, but you know, military, you're a number. You know, I remember that being at war. Like, you go Kuwait and Iraq, and you're out there, and it's like, dog, somebody go down. It's like, well, who else we about to send out there? And, you know, convoy got hit, vehicle went down, guy got injured. All right, well we got another Hummer over here.
Yeah.
All right, and then who went down? Oh, Petty Officer Davis went down. Okay, so who's gonna replace Petty Officer Davis? That's it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're gonna go get the care you need, but like you're off the map already. Mm-hmm. It's like next man, go ahead, do it. Yeah. And it's like, like I said, I came home healthy, so I'm thankful in the sense of like mentally I was not healthy. Physically, I came home as I left, but there wasn't people checking on you
at all.
There's not nobody going like, yo, you all right? You good? Or I remember one person mentioned to me about, like, hey man, you've been out there in Iraq, man. You probably want to like go see a therapist, but there was nobody to really push it on you. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, man, I'm good. But like looking back, I'm like, damn, man, thank God for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, thank God for that dude. Because I had no clue how right he was at that moment.
Right.
I was just like,
You know, because too, therapy back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't going to therapy.
Nah.
I don't need therapy for. I feel like I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Because I'm still doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Not even take into account, like, the stupid stuff that I'm doing in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had anger problems. So, but, like I said, when you're around angry people, you don't know. Because they just go, man, he'd be cool. Like, he just tripping, man. He'd be all right. Yeah. Let his ass calm down. And then we gonna go back to doing whatever we're doing. Or he gonna chill. He gonna go be angry for a minute. He gonna get quiet. Yeah. And then he'll come back to the group and he'll be all right. And that was the expectation. It wasn't until I was outside that space where people were like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so upset about that?
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand. And like, I don't. Because there's no reason for it. And it's like, no, this is just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. And pushed me to a place of, I'm really upset. But I'm just got the weight of a lot of other things. That I'm not knowing I'm dealing with yet. I haven't taken the time to do the work to like put it together. But like I said, it's just knowing, like, that person who told me that they weren't attached to my battalion, so like, man, I can't even go back and like talk to them. I wish I could, like, man, like you was onto something, man. I wish I would have took that advice, because how much further along would I have been in my journey had I had that help at that time, you know? Yeah. So it's like, those are the things that I always look at. I'm like, man, I think we come from the era where you weren't invested in. Like, there wasn't even an expectation, I think, for us. But we're kind of getting out of that generation of people who don't need people to care about them. Right? Like, we're so, now these kids are very much like, they don't like me. Right? Like, how many times you hear that where it's like, Coach Scipio don't like me?
Yeah. I had to tell her, like, she was complaining about my little nephew not saying hi. Mm-hmm. Oh, well. Move on. You don't have to have everyone saying hi to you. Right. You don't gotta acknowledge him. You don't gotta go play with him. Like, you just gotta move on. Yeah. All right. Everyone's not gonna be nice to you. Nah. They don't. That's not realistic. Right. And I'm like, you're gonna be a cool girl. Yeah. So you're gonna have a lot of friends, and people are gonna like you. Don't even have to worry about that. Right. But like you said, you're instilling self-worth in her. Yeah. Which is more valuable, because it's like the things like your daughter, my son, when they get into the real world, when they get into the workspace, you are going to have a lot of people who like you because you're just a good person. Yeah. Easy to be around, get along with everybody, but you ain't understanding yet. Somebody going to hate you for that. Mm-hmm. Somebody going to dislike you for that. Yep. Because you do have all the friends, right? But then you start learning, like, everybody who's around me ain't for me. Mm-hmm. So I have to have that self-worth, that self-value. And I think that how many of us lack that? Like, I know I lack self-worth, a big part. Mm-hmm. Of my life. It's like, as good as I was at things, I never believed the hype. Right. I didn't feel like I wasn't that. It was like I worked because I didn't want that. Like, I was telling my buddy, the moment somebody told me I was good at basketball, I wouldn't practice, because I had never had that feeling before, and I didn't want to go back to, like, I was just like a part of it. It was like, nah, now they're telling me I'm one of those guys. I don't want to go back to not being a part of that conversation no more. Yeah. Even though I still wasn't like sold on it, I just like, I don't want to lose it. Yeah. I never like had the appreciation for like people just acknowledging my hard work. It was like, I gotta work harder. A lot of people just thought I was good just because I was fast and stuff, but a lot of people didn't know the hard work that I put in. Like, I had a track trainer my sophomore, junior, senior year, and after football, after basketball, even after track practice, I was going to see him. Mm-hmm. People like, man, you're just so explosive. Like, going into my junior year, I ran so much track that year. Like, my legs are so strong, I was dunking off one step, two hands, one step dunking. And then my senior year, I just took off. Like, I was the first person that ever dunked at my high school. And people were like, man, like, but I barely lift the weight. It was all on the track. And like that's how much I ran. Right? People were just like, man, like you're so explosive on the basketball court. I grant that all to my track coach. Like, and the workouts. Some people go there for one workout, 2 workouts a week. You don't see them.
Oh yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it's
for
over.
Track.
Yeah. And he trained some Olympic runners, and that was my guy. Like my football coach hired him just to be on the staff for me, to stretch me, to make sure I was right after halftime. But the work that I put in, it was people don't understand. Like, oh, you're just so good. Like, but they see me in the weight room. They're like, you don't like to lift weights, but you don't understand. Out of that weight room, I got to go to the track and run.
About to go get to it.
Yeah,
some more. Yeah, no, it's the grind, man. It's the part that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Like I hate that. And like for example, I tell people, I went from a volunteer to a teacher to the dean in like 4 years, right? And so you have teachers looking around like, how's he the dean? Like, first of all, I had the education already.
Yeah.
Like I didn't come here without the education. I had a different job.
Right.
Where I didn't need to use it at that time. You know, being a barber, I mean, I guess the psychology degree helps because I didn't cut hair. You deal with a lot of people's issues.
Yeah.
So like it was a place for me to really still use the skills that I had learned working on my degree. But it's just like I was asked that right away. Like, hey, do you have a degree? I'm like, yeah, I got a psychology degree. Like, what do you think about teaching? I'm like, well, I'd rather be like in the counseling department.
Yeah.
But like I'm open, and so it turned from me being a volunteer coach to, hey man, you want to come over here full time? And then I get on campus, and the next thing you know, it's like, hey, you want to be an administrator?
Yeah.
And so but it's like I said, it was a progress that I took to get there. Like I worked though, and then people saw what I was doing with these kids. So me being the dean was at the time of COVID, and it was really like the principle of understanding mental health is a very big thing.
Yeah.
And we need somebody who could kind of have these conversations, and he connects so well with kids.
Right.
It makes sense. So I tell people all the time, like, am I the best dean out there? I just think I was the best one for that situation.
Yeah.
I think I was best for what was needed. Because even when I stepped down, I just like, man, my time, I did what I needed to do, and my time is up. I think it's time for somebody else to come in and do something different. I have other things I need to take care of. But it was in that space, people looking at me crazy because I'm an administrator now. So they partly like don't really want to talk to me because it's like now you can't come at me like you really want to because I am an administrator.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm over you now. But it's like I would never flex on you.
Yeah.
And so like you had people who had issues, but they wasn't coming to me. They was coming to people around me. And I'm like, I've never met somebody who you couldn't talk to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you just don't want me to respond. And I think it was one teacher who sent the email, was upset about something. I responded. My response wasn't great. It was right, but I got a little petty at the end of my response. I had somebody looking over and they're like, you can send it, but you don't have to send that last line.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I not? Like, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, though. And I was like, but the teacher came and spoke with me, and we had a great conversation. It was like, no, you're just not understanding. It's a misunderstanding on some stuff here, right? Like, you're expecting something where this doesn't even fall on my lap for that. I do these things for you. You need to do these things, but I'm going to support you regardless. And it was like, and then it kind of turned into a different conversation. I would never want you to feel this way because I taught their kids. Yeah. So you know how I get down. But, you're, like you said, you're dealing with some things, and now I'm kind of getting it because you're having other issues outside of what we're even doing here. Yeah. And you're bringing it here, and now you're bringing it to me, and I got to deal with it. And so, but because of the conversation, we were able to fix it. And it was like understanding, like I'm gonna do everything I can in my power to take care of you in the position I'm in. I'm not gonna hang you out to dry. And so, like I always tell people as a dean, if you got 40 teachers, you got 40 sets of rules you got to know. Yeah. Because everybody runs their classroom a little differently. But so when I walk in, I can't let's say one teacher says you can't have iPads and phones.
Yeah.
I gotta know that going in there. So if I see a kid with one, hey, put that up or I'm taking it.
Yeah.
You know? But then at the same time, you might go to another class where it's like, if you're done with your work, you check with me.
Yeah.
If you'll sit there quietly, yeah, you can be on your iPad. Not your phone, but your iPad. You can sit there quietly on your iPad. So, like, you just got to know the lay of the land for everybody. But I tell them, I'm not coming in there to do what I want to do. I'm coming there to do what you need me to do to help you.
Yeah.
You know? And I think, like you said, like, we just don't have enough of that in these spaces, man. It's just 100% about, we're just selfish.
Yeah.
But just reality, I guess that's just my closing thing with this whole thing. Is like, if we can drop the selfishness and really, I don't see a scenario where people aren't winning if we're actually taking care of each other in our workplaces.
I think a lot of people feel like everyone's against them.
Yeah, I see that. I can see that.
Like, we work together. Like,
right.
I'm for you, whether you like it or not. Like,
right.
Like, we gotta work together.
Yeah, but I think, like, I don't know, maybe you feel this way. I ask you because I always think, like, a lot of times our personal feelings is what mess it up. So, like, let's say me and you working together.
Yeah.
Now you my boss. Now I'm mad at you. Now the reality is I'm mad because I didn't get the promotion.
Yeah.
But you got it, and I got to look at you, and now I'm looking at you away because you had something I wanted. Now, it doesn't mean I still can't become a supervisor.
Right.
It just means you're better prepared at the time. But I feel like a lot of times like that, it's, like I said, it's selfish. Like, you want to see me win, or I want to see you win until you do better than me.
Right.
And then it's
like
going
for the same spot.
Yeah.
I've seen that. We just got like a young supervisor, and I've seen a lot of people, like, I like him. He goes over and beyond for, I think, everyone. But there's some guys that's been there 10, 8, 10, 11, 12 years that put in, and this dude's been in there 2 years. And he got the supervisor position, so you can see a lot of people changing towards him. It's like, but he's for the people. Like, he's energetic. He's a young soul. Came in to the workspace, did everything he had to do to climb the ladder. I think he's a great supervisor, but you have those people that's been there, like, they've been trying to get the supervisor position, and he overstepped, so you could tell that their whole...
He just got here.
Yeah, their whole demeanor. I've been here 10, 12 years, and I didn't get it, but I'm like, you can't look at it like that, like, you just, like, with the hate that they have for him, like, man, just move on.
But it's not even the hate for that person, you mad at yourself.
You're mad at yourself.
Like, you really mad at you.
Yeah,
like, that's how I feel wholeheartedly, like, nah, man, you mad at that person. Because, like, even when I got the job, like, the job was open to people who were there already.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted it. You know, like, so they wanted me to put my name in the hat, but they definitely went to other people at the school at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like, it wasn't just like, here you go. I had to go through the interview. I had to sit in front of administrators, go through the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that was, I wouldn't want it no other way. Like, don't just give it to me. Let me earn. Because if there's somebody better, so be it. I'll stay as a teacher if I'm not the right person, you know. But it's like, no, you got higher tenured people now. People been in the game 20, 25, 30 years teaching. And you got this dude who only been on campus for a couple years, and now he's my boss. Or he's an administrator that's a little higher than me. And he could come in here and do evaluations on me and tell me I'm not teaching right, or I need to change some things, and I got to eat that. And it's like, I would think with a fresher face, a newer look, and like, I'm not from the private school sector.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in with a different lens. So there might be something from spaces I've been in that may be beneficial in yours. But I'm not here to take away from what you do good.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, you can't get past the fact that, like, I'm new here. Like, you're caught up on, like, he hasn't been here that long. And it's like,
why did you get the position? Yeah.
But it's like, I just say, like, look at you. Like, because of people like you. Yeah. Right? So it's like the person you're talking about. If I've been here 10 years, they gave this job to somebody who's been here 2 years,
what are you doing?
I'm screwing something up.
Yeah, what are you doing as a person?
Or I'm just not evolving. Yeah. Because leadership has to evolve. You can't be a leader and be the same way for 20, 30 years.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. It has to, like, to me, I'm not there, but, like, I was looking into going into human resources at one point. And, like, that's the thing, is, like, I'm looking for people who are progressive. I need people with those... Like, my whole thing is, I like old school grit. I like people tough. But I need you progressive enough to understand that we have to build people to that. And then we'll have something, because most people ain't ready-made no more. Like, we just come from the old school grit era. I'm going to get it done. Why? Because it's my job.
Right.
That's why. man, I heard you had something happen. Yeah, it did happen, but I got to get my work done. Like, we're from that.
Yeah.
Right? Where I want somebody who understands that, but also understands in order to get it, I got to help this person deal. I got to build grit in them. So I got to tell them, hey, man, this sucks. It's messed up. And I don't want you to feel like you can't be in pain. We're going to get the work done. Yeah. But we can take a moment.
Yeah.
We can take a second. You need to take a day. You know? Like, you need, like, because maybe giving you that day comes in here and helps you go further.
Yeah.
Maybe you do way more now because I gave you a moment to, like, hey, man, deal with your feelings. Deal with them emotions. Deal with that grief. You just went through a loss, man. Take a minute.
Right.
It's work. That work ain't going nowhere. You good at what you do. You're going to be good at what you do only if you handle that. Right? So it's like, you need some grief counseling? What do you need? Like, we get you some resources to help you stay on track. Right. You know? So, yes, do I need you to do your job? Of course I do. But I know if I don't take care of you, you probably won't. Yeah. Or maybe you quit. You know? So it's like, I think that's my wrap up for me. It's like, man, take care of people.
Stop being selfish.
Yeah, just take care of people. Like, and it always works out. I don't see a scenario where it's just not going to work out in any situation, whether it's your personal life, professional, like, you know, whether it's your relationships. Like, you take care of your spouse, they're going to take care of you. Yeah. Take care of your kids. Hey, you know, even though they don't need to take care of me, they'll want to and be willing. Like, I want to help my parents to this day because I know what they did for me. So it's like, I think that's the foundation of, you know, why the relationships suck. We just don't take care of shit. So, you know, that's our time for the day, man. We thank everyone for tuning in. I was sorry for all the phone interruptions today. Bear with me. All right, I'm new to this, but we still true to it, man. So, y'all, God bless. Have a great day. We'll see y'all soon.